Hey, Shanna here. Welcome to my channel all about finding joy while learning to live well with autoimmunity. I am so glad to have you here. So today I am coming at you as a Hashimoto's sister, as an autoimmune sister, not as a functional nutritional therapy practitioner. So I received an email a couple months ago that it was one of those that just kind of stays with you and that I've thought about a lot, and I knew I was going to do a video in response to this email, but it's taken me some time. And so today I'm going to be talking about how to face autoimmune disease, how to face chronic illness, how to face Hashimoto's. It can be a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and share the email, what it says, and the questions that I was asked. Shanna, my name is, I'm going to leave that blank. I just started following you on Instagram after receiving my diagnosis of Hashimoto's yesterday. Your description of a flare was one of the first Google results I found and helped me feel a little less alone. So I'm just going to pause right there. So I shared the post that she is referring to that I shared. I will link it down below if you want to check it out. But it was basically a graphic of a roller coaster. And on the roller coaster, it went up and down and around and sideways. And I shared how that's what living with autoimmunity feels like to me, a roller coaster. That, well, there's ups and there's downs, and sometimes you don't see them coming. And so that's what she's talking about. And then she says this, like a lot of folks, I'm learning. My diagnosis came after years of normal test results, as well as a tumultuous pregnancy, premature delivery due to preeclampsia, and severe postpartum mental health complications. I just have to pause again. I had all of those same things. I had very, very, very rough pregnancies. I had my daughter early because of preeclampsia, and I had postpartum after my son. So I feel you. And then she says this, when I saw your roller coaster Insta this morning, it hit precisely where I am, questioning the last handful of years, including whether the lack of interest in my symptoms by providers was a direct cause of the pregnancy and delivery complications I experienced, or the other way around. And then these are the questions that she asks. How do you cope with the what ifs and anger and doubt? How do I find hope for my future when my past feels shattered? Mostly, how do I get off the roller coaster? Question mark, exclamation point. Thanks for your time in advance. I'm grateful for your advocacy and visibility. I emailed her at length as soon as I got this, but I wanted to come on here and to share my answers, because this is something that I hear about a lot, and I think it's something that we need to raise awareness for, that we need to say it's okay to struggle with the emotional side of autoimmunity, with emotional side of chronic illness, that it's okay to not feel like you have all of the answers, to not feel like you have it together, to not feel like you have any part of it together. So first question, how do you cope with the what ifs, anger, and doubt? As far as overcoming the fears and the doubts and the what ifs and the anger, in my experience, my best advice from what I went through is to allow yourself to feel it. I ran into problems as I would try to fight that feeling, as I'm a woman of faith, and I believe in prayer, and I believe in God, and I believe, my Savior. And so it was hard for me to let myself feel that anger, to let myself feel the bitterness and the pain, because I felt like that was like not okay. And so it took time for me to understand that, no, it's okay if I feel those things. It's okay if I need time to process this. This is heavy. This is huge. This is life-changing. And this is something that I'm going to be dealing with for the rest of my life. This is incurable. There's no pill that I can take to make this go away. And so those feelings of anger and bitterness and mourning and grief were intense. And it's okay. I found it was okay if I felt it, but I had to be careful that I didn't let myself sit in it too long. So I had to feel it and to process it and to take time. And I can't tell you how much time, because it's going to be different for everybody. My experience is not the same as yours. And so I encourage you to take the time that you need. So it was so important for me that I didn't sit in that anger and that bitterness and that fear for too long, that I allowed myself to feel it, that I embraced it, that I try to process it, but that I started to try to rely on my faith, that I started to have a growth mindset, that I realized that this is happening for me, not to me. This is not how my story ends. And I think one of the hardest parts for me living with Hashimoto's was I went to my doctor at my rock bottom. Well, I went to the doctor a lot of times over the years, but when I was finally diagnosed, I was really, really sick, and it was hard to be in a doctor's office, and I didn't need a medication at that point. I still don't, but he said, there's basically nothing I can do. And I asked him about diet, and I asked him about all these things, and he basically said there's no proof that any of that works, and basically to live with what I was living with. And I wasn't living the life I wanted. I couldn't go to my son's baseball games. I couldn't hardly grocery shop for my family. I had to rest after taking a shower, like all these things. It was really, really hard. And so to think about it, I was diagnosed at 36 years old 2 years ago from the time I'm making this video. And to think about that, that was going to be my life, that my kids were 10 and 12 at the time, and that this was going to be their new mama. Like, and it was heartbreaking. And I want you to know that you don't have to live like this, that you don't have to live with your symptoms, that there are things that you can do to improve your quality of life, to find relief from your symptoms. It's not a cure. Nutrition, lifestyle, it's not a cure, but it can feel like a cure. The autoimmune protocol AIP was really, really instrumental in my wellness journey. I'm so grateful for it. But there's a lot of ins and outs to wellness, and to learning to live well with autoimmunity, to learning to live well with Hashimoto's, and it's not easy. It's hard. Changing my life after my diagnosis is one of the hardest things I've ever done, and I choose to believe that my Heavenly Father is giving me this experience so that I can learn, so that I can grow, so that I can become a better version of myself, and I choose to believe that He knew what I needed and when I needed it. And please know and understand that this learning to live well with autoimmunity, learning to find joy with Hashimoto's, with chronic illness, it's not some overnight thing. It takes time and baby steps, many baby steps repeated over time are going to make huge differences in your wellness journey. Work on some mindset tips, deep breathing, meditation, a gratitude journal. Finding gratitude is so powerful. Thinking about what you can do rather than what you can't. Okay, so you can't do all of these things that you loved to do. So I couldn't do all of these things that I loved to do, but there are things that I can do. And as a mama especially, it was hard to think, I was one of those like homeschooling, traveling, field trip taking mamas, and I would be doing all the things and then I couldn't. And it was really hard to not think about all the things I couldn't do. And I mourned, I went through the mourning process, but then I had to think about all the things I could do. Okay, I can hug my kids, I can listen to them, I can be there for them, I can show them unconditional love and support, I could help talk them through whatever they're going through, I can pray for them, we could read scriptures, we can read books, we can do puzzles, we can watch their favorite movies, we can watch their favorite sports on TV. Like, there's a lot that you can do from bed. If you're sick in bed, there's still a lot that you can do. If you're sick on the couch, there's still a lot you can do, and I know because I was there. Since then, I've rebuilt my life into something so beautiful, and I am traveling again, and I am taking them on field trips again, and I am snowboarding with them again, and I am doing all of those things. But when I go through a flare, I can't do those things again, and I remember just how hard it is. So please know my heart is with you. So the second question that she asked me was worded so beautifully. She said, how do I find hope for my future when my past feels shattered? And I remember reading that and thinking that's like the perfect description, because our past really can feel shattered, and how, if this is incurable, if this is lifelong, like how am I supposed to hope for the future? I just say to cling to your faith, to find people who feel like light to you, to find people who are living well with autoimmunity, who are living well with Hashimoto's, who are living well with whatever chronic illness that you have. There are so many of us out there. I'm not the only one. There's a lot of us who find joy as we learn to live well with Hashimoto's, with autoimmunity. If you need more examples, I'm happy to point you towards a number of people who I love to follow, who I love to read their articles, and who are living well with autoimmunity through nutrition and lifestyle. And so please know that there is hope. And one thing that I did was, when I remember I was sick in bed and I, at my rock bottom, and I would picture myself healthy and feeling well and on a beautiful tropical island with my husband. And at that point, I was not traveling. I did not know if I was ever going to be able to function normally, let alone fly somewhere to a tropical island and enjoy that picture that I had in my head. At that point, I couldn't. I bet I could barely even have handled that 1 hour drive to the airport, let alone getting on a plane and traveling. And I've traveled a number of times to Hawaii since my rock bottom. I've traveled to the Caribbean with my husband, all on the AIP. And so just because well, number one, you can't travel again, you can feel better again. And number two, even if you need to eat a certain way in order to feel better, like I need to eat a certain way so that I feel well. And I eat a modified AIP, but I've traveled on a cruise on strict AIP and done it in the Caribbean, and it was wonderful. Something else that really helped me was finding an online community of love and support. I show up every day, or 6 days a week, on my Instagram page, and I show up and I share about the emotional side of autoimmunity, as well as how to find joy and live well with autoimmunity and Hashimoto's. And so I am there. We have a wonderful community there. There's a lot of other support pages too, but I just encourage you, it can be lonely, because I know that for me, I didn't know anybody in real life going through what I went through. Now, I did know people with Hashimoto's. I knew a number of people with Hashimoto's, but remember, Hashimoto's, the same autoimmune disease, can look different in different people. So just because 2 or 3 or 10 people all have Hashimoto's doesn't mean they're all going to have the same experience with it. So please keep that in mind. So if somebody tries to write off your Hashimoto's, or somebody tries to write off your symptoms, don't even put up with that. You are not imagining what you're going through. What you're going through is very real. It's very difficult. And find the support that you need. And please don't compare yourself to anybody else. Don't compare your Hashimoto's to anybody else, or your wellness journey. It is your own. Last question she had was, how do you get off of the roller coaster? And so I was comparing living with Hashimoto's, living with autoimmunity, to a never-ending roller coaster that had no exit. And so she's asking, how do I get off of it? And I just want to read you what I wrote to her in the email. And it kind of may sound a little bit harsh at first, but bear with me. I said, how do you get off of the roller coaster? You can't. I'm sorry, but you can't. But what you can do is live in a way where the drop-offs are not so big and not so often, where most of the time you feel so well that you forget you're on a roller coaster, where you find so much joy you forget Hashimoto's is a part of your life. But how you do it is not easy. It's through nutrition and lifestyle and mindset. It's through breaking bad habits and creating new ones. New healthy ones. It's through repeating those healthy choices day after day after day after day, until your body has no choice but to feel better. The autoimmune protocol worked wonders for me, and I've created many videos and articles about it that you can find for free on my YouTube channel and on my website. I wish there was an easier answer. I wish there was a magic pill that you could take to make this all go away. There isn't. At least for Hashimoto's, there isn't. For many autoimmune conditions, there isn't. At least not yet, anyway. But you are strong enough for this life with Hashimoto's. You are strong enough. You can do this, and you will be setting an incredible example as a mother and to your loved ones about just how powerful nutrition, lifestyle, and mindset are. This may be one of the biggest challenges you face, but you can rise up to it, look it square in the eye, and show it who's boss. It starts today, but take it as slow as you need to. Stress will just make things worse. Sending you so much love and support. Please know I am cheering you on. Please know that you can do this, that you are strong enough, that this is not how your story ends, that you are the author of your story and you are writing the next chapter, and it starts today. Take it as slow as you need to. Please be kind to yourself. Please reach out anytime you need extra love and support. Please comment on this post if you have experience with this, and let us know if you have any insight, if you have any tips, if you have any recommendations, and of course, if you have any questions. I love it when we can learn all from each other. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. I publish new videos every week, so if you don't want to miss any, please hit subscribe. And thank you for your support. I am sending you so much love and support. Have a wonderful week.